My younger daughter, Deeksha, she was 9 years old. I heard you're going to Delhi, you're meeting the Prime Minister, and I also want to send money. He said, so why are you hesitating? 5 lakhs from a girl who can think of what others have to benefit out of this? It's a great thing. He asked his secretary to write down the name and address all of that and wrote a letter.
Oh,
Thank you letter, which she has.
oh, amazing.
Thank you, K. Dinesh sir, for sparing some time to speak about your story. Uh, we at Hurun India are honored to have you here. We've been tracking philanthropy, the story of Indian philanthropy through the eyes of philanthropists, and hopefully that will inspire more younger generation and entrepreneurs in the philanthropy, and also form like a template for emerging economies to follow from India in terms of how philanthropy should be. And you, sir, is very special for us in this year's list. You are the top new entrant, and very glad to have you here. And we're just going to talk about your story, what motivated you into philanthropy, how did you get into it, what are the challenges, how do you see the future of philanthropy in India, and all these kind of questions. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for being here and spending some time with us in understanding this space. You guys come from a much wider experience in this space. I'm a business guy, but happen to have some wealth, and thanks to Infosys and the journey we did. But when you ask me what made you go up to philanthropy and what you are trying to do from a corporate world to philanthropy, what Vinoba Bhave said, I get reminded. I'll just quote, all that I am or hope to be, I owe to my mother. She did not tell me how to live. She lived and let me watch her do it. So I had great parents. My mother, who was a 7th grade pass out, she came from a very poor family. Her father was my grandfather. Father was an assistant to a compounder in a veterinary hospital near Bangalore airport in those days. Very poor family. And she used to tell us if they only get 1 or 2 new clothes per year, a new skirt or new sari or whatever they would get, 1 or 2 only they could afford for 2 big festivals. And if they have to get a third one or a second one, they have to go and wash the vessels in the neighbor's house, who is a businessman, and get the money, and then only they can buy. And she did her 7th grade, when she passed out from the middle school. On the other side, my father was a high school headmaster. He had done his BSc honors and BT. BT is equivalent of B.Ed. And he came from a priest family. My grandfather was a priest in Mysore. Traditional family, big family. And my father wanted to be a doctor. He was good in botany, zoology, all of that. And when he asked, he was told, you can't go and cut the body of a corpse or a human being and come into the house because we are priests.
Oh.
So you can't. So give up that. So he said the next noblest profession he could take in serving the society, other than as a doctor, was being a teacher. So he became a teacher in government high school, headmaster, and he used to get transferred every 3 years from one town to another town, rural areas in Karnataka. So we were 8 children. My parents had 8 children. I am the 5th one. And I was fortunate enough, that they guided me in many different things, but they are both led by example. But we used to ask my mother, when we were young, a very powerful example. We used to ask my mother, why are you preparing so much of food? 50, 60% more than what we need. You know what her answer was? I'll take care of all of you, don't worry. No, but my family consists of my neighbor. I have to share with them. My family consists of my vegetable vendor who comes and gives me vegetables, and the milk vendor, buttermilk vendor, and the maid servant, and the beggar who comes and asks for some food. I have to take care of them. So that is my family. So when they had very little money, after all, my father was a high school headmaster, clean headmaster. He retired as, by the time he retired, he got the best teacher award, from the state government. So very high ideals. And when they set such examples, when they had very little of money, and when we are blessed with so much of things, and we have paid paltry money to get our education and many things that happened when we were getting educated, it is best that we take care of the family in the society in whichever way we can, where the heart and the mind meets together. And that India needs many more such people to do.
Oh.
And my very first job, I must say that where I am today versus where I was, my father had retired when I was 17 years. I had done my BSc. He had retired. He said, that's it, no more education. So you have to take up jobs. So who will give me jobs when I am 17? So I had to wait 1 year. And by the time I finished my 17 and entered 18, I got a job. No interview, no test. And that was RMS sorter job. RMS is Railway Mail Service. I started as a RMS sorter in the postal department. And my first salary was 80 rupees. I was sorting letters in railway station in Bangalore city. Evenings, 1972. Madras platform, we used to call. And that is where we would sort letters from evening 7 o'clock to morning 7 o'clock. But 80 rupees was my first salary, but that could buy 320 masala dosas. So at that time, I told this story in Infosys 40th year celebrations, excellence. That at that time, India had introduced PIN code, zip code or PIN code that you see. So we had to by heart to sort the letters, the PIN codes of Bangalore. So Bangalore 1 is GPO, Bangalore 2 is Avenue Road, 3 is Malleshwaram, 4 is Basavangudi, 5 is Fraser Town, 6 is Hebbard, 7 is Agaram, 8 is Alsur, 9 is Gandhinagar, 10 is Rajaji Nagar, 11 is Jayanagar, 12 is Indian Institute of Science. But the reason I am saying these things is, even in the job that I did, there was a method to do what you had to do. To do it efficiently, correctly. And that's what postal department taught me when I was going through those initial days of learning. Of course, from there to where I am today, I went through few transformations. Finally, I landed in co-founding Infosys with the other 6 people.
I think you kind of touched upon your value systems that motivated into the philanthropy. But in terms of big philanthropy, right? One of those individuals who did not really just do a walk, but you actually jumped, took a leap in terms of the philanthropy. What were the kind of motivation? Is it your family background and your parents' story, or or is it the value systems at Infosys in terms of creating value for the entire ecosystem and stakeholder? What kind of drove you into a big philanthropy?
Basically, when you look at things that need to be done, the trigger points were around 2000, 2002 is when, Infosys went to NASDAQ. We were the first company to get listed on NASDAQ. And we offloaded some part of our ADR things around that time, and we had money that is coming into individually to some of the founders, all the founders. So at that time, couple of things happened. My father-in-law, Major Najundaya, till then we were also doing informally, in both education and healthcare related activities, things that we could do, in building up schools and a few other things that we were doing. But my father-in-law came around 2000 and said, why don't we set up a trust, Astrayhasta Trust, and he gave the initial money, 10,000 rupees, but before that he had given his daughter to me.
Which year was this? How old were you?
This was in 2000s.
2000 is when, but I married Asha in 1984 in Mysore.
This is a very important point that I would like to, if I may interrupt and ask you for elaboration, right? You formed a trust even before, there was no time when you had big money to give away as philanthropy, but you had an intention to do that, and you had to form a trust for it. Well, you could have done individually in your names as well, right?
No, for us, a trust brings a formal way in which you can do many things that are required, and it gets focused in all the respects to do what is required, and you can hire people, you can build up in a large scale what is required.
Does it bring commitment as well?
Yeah, of course, it will.
It will bring commitment.
It will bring commitment, and if, this is what I tell people, that, you need people, process, technology, and a strategy. All of these things you have to focus on when you have to start doing it big. And you need to hire the right professionals who will be able to guide you through, in the larger way, and build the relationships that are required between different NGOs, all of that.
So this is very intuitive to the way the world is working today. But what is remarkable is that you're speaking about, 20 years ago or maybe even older, where this was not usually the route philanthropists took, even the ones who gave away large sums. There was more of a check signing, more of a benevolence to the whole act of giving instead of putting structure. That's more than 20 years ago is what you're referring to.
For me, it was very important, that what we do should reach the beneficiaries. Towards that, you have to have a formal way in which you would do these things. Though it may be more tax efficient to do through a trust and all that, but that's not the reason. But ultimately, you have to have the collective knowledge of what is happening, encapsulated, kept in one central place so that it is available for next generations also. So that is very, very important when you start doing it through a trust.
Someone like me, I'm just turned 40, right? What would your advice to me be? If I have to do philanthropy, should I float a trust right now, having in mind the long term?
Depends on the size of what you want to do. If you are going to do once in a while, then that is your...
If I want to do consistently.
Consistently, and based on the size of what you want to do, then you have to start looking at putting a formal structure. Formal structure is always a good thing for you to do in the long run.
You said something that we heard even from Chris, which is intergenerational impact.
Yeah.
And this seems to be, even because we also work very closely with Rohini, and that there is a societal, the common theme seems to be societal impact beyond the founders and beyond the immediate vision. What we can see, looking beyond what we can see, anticipating the future, and also making structures that live intergenerational.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like a corporate.
Yeah.
It is like, an entity like a corporate which outlives all its founders and many others. So over several years, several decades. So that is very important. And the organization knowledge of these things that, are encapsulated, the failures and successes and process, systems, metrics, strategies that you have followed, all of that is encapsulated when you say you have a formal structure.
But it's also so important because I'm seeing this theme which should be highlighted, which is, again, I am not speaking for all philanthropists, but philanthropy tends to be a little, people feel a little more possessive about their philanthropy. There needs to be a visible, touching, feeling impact. There needs to be something that is gratifying. And typically, gratification comes by the quicker fixes than the long shots. What keeps you at it, or what makes it so powerful for you to engage in this long term journey?
Now, basically, society has some deep rooted issues, in every area that you take. And some of these things you have to go at the root cause and try to address some of those. For example, education is a great example of that.
True.
So if India needs to be a good developed country, our solutions have to start from educating our people so that they can stand on their own than being a burden on the society. So like that, there are areas in which, some of these things can be done, and we need to go to the root cause of these things and start solving those issues, whether it is things related to livelihood, whether it is things related to education, whether it is related to health care, or whether it is related to animal related care. Each one of these areas you need to go back to the root cause of the issues and see how those things can be assuaged or reduced, the amount of root cause can be reduced. So that is very, very important for us to start looking at that. Since Chris and me, all of us, we came from Infosys background, the way Infosys was built is based on some of these principles of quality from customer point of view, and doing value addition, in the process, so that the customers come back to you and say, we want more and more from you. So coming back to, some of the areas where, for example, some of the other drivers that I had to start this in a big way was, as I said, I used to be in rural areas, and Bangalore, we had no place to come and study here. And my father, said, you will have to commute from a distant place, and if at all you need to come to Bangalore. He can't set up, it is expensive for him to set up a family in Bangalore. So I had to commute from Hoskote, 25, now it is a small distance, it looks like. But every day I used to go by BTS bus to come to my BSc degree. So final year, my father said, why don't you join a hostel, free hostel in Bangalore, and I stayed there. Then I went back to that hostel after I had started Infosys and some money was there. I want to do something back to the hostel. So in around 2002 or so, 2001 or 2002, after we had formed Ashray Hasta Trust, so then they said, we have a boys' hostel only, free hostel, but we want to run a girls' hostel. So we thought through and said, girls from nearby towns and all of that, if they have to continue their studies, they will give up their studies then and there. So we said we'll create a girls' hostel, 45 girls' hostel. And we donated some money and built the girls' hostel. My father-in-law, who was the founder of Ashray Hasta, took charge of building that hostel. The money came from Ashray Hasta Trust. Asha and me started, giving money towards that. Later on, as we grew, there are 2 or 3 stories that are important related to why we started giving and what motivates me to do. Is because my younger daughter, Deeksha, who was only about 8 and 9 years or so at that time, she was born in 94. One day I come home, Papa, I want to talk to you. What is it about? She has learned somehow I am going to Delhi next day. So I heard you are going to Delhi, you are meeting the Prime Minister. So yeah, so what? So I want to send my money. For what? Yeah, I heard you guys have collected in Infosys some money for earthquake or flood relief or cyclone relief or something, and I also want to send money. So then I said, okay, how much you want to send? So 5,000 rupees. I said, Nandan has asked me to go to Delhi and hand over this check from Infosys CSR. At the time it was voluntary, there was no compulsion to do CSR, but we had collected and please hand over this to Manmohan Singh, and I am not able to go there. So I said 5,000 rupees, that is crores, or what, how will I give? Okay, make it 10,000 rupees. So sweet. I said, no way I can. You know, the other condition was it has to come from her account. You see, it has to come from my account. She was telling that.
Beautiful. What a thought.
She had an account.
How old was she?
She was 9 years.
8 or 9.
My goodness.
So then I told her, no, it can't be. So then she increased it to 5 lakhs, finally negotiated. Gave it, wrote the check. One of us had to sign and keep the check. I'll try, but I'm not sure. So I went there to Delhi, I gave the other check, the big check, and I was hesitating to give this check. So Manmohan Singh, why are you hesitating? Sir, this is a small amount. It has come from a small girl, 9-year-old girl. I didn't want to say my daughter. So then he said, so why are you hesitating? 5 lakhs from a girl who can think of what others have to benefit out of this. It's a great thing. So he asked his secretary to write down the name and address, all of that, and wrote a letter.
Oh.
Thank you letter, which she has.
Oh, amazing. That's so beautiful.
So I am blessed with such family. And then coming to another story, which is equally important, the great-heartedness of Asha, my wife. You must have seen somewhere, we built a small clinic in Mysore in the ancestral place. And that is where all my grandfather had bought this twin house, and all of us, my father and many others also lived there, grew up partly. And finally that had to be, now all of them had passed away. My uncles, everyone had passed away. Now it belongs to 33 cousins. So now what happens to that? So okay, they want to sell off. I said, if you're ready to sell off, tell me what is the final price. So you get that price, but I'll buy it at that price. Then I was with Devi Shetty at that time. So I asked Devi Shetty, why don't we build something there? So then now the question came whether that land we should buy, Asha and me should buy and keep it in our name, and only allow that to build a clinic and use it. You know what Asha's answer was? Answer was? Before the left hand knows what right hand is doing, the mind changes. I don't want to change anything. Let the money directly go to Narayana Hridayalaya. Let them build and run the clinic.
Amazing.
That is the value systems the parents, have brought in. So it's very important that Divya is also in her own way, a big way. She is trying to help in the animal related things. Both the children are taking very big lead in animal related things. So around 2016 is when both the children became formally the trustees of Ashrayastha Trust. Okay. Which was founded by Arana, my father-in-law, and me and Asha were the trustees, are still the trustees. So I am blessed with such a family. Infosys has given me the wealth, and all the the good givings that my parents have taught, both the parents have taught us, hopefully, it will run many generations.
What is your vision with the trust right now?
No, we have many areas that we want to focus on.
Yeah.
Right now, we always believed that healthcare should be both accessible and affordable,
Yes.
and therefore launched a mobile cardiac diagnostic facility in collaboration with Narana Hudayalaya way back in 2002. I had a heart problem. I had a blockage in 2002. I did not know I had a heart problem. Night around 1:30 or 2 o'clock, I get pain in one hand. It is 20 years back. And then I told Asha, and some pain is there, gas is there. So Diksha would apply Amrutanjan, the pain will go away, all that. But then I told Asha, prepare some dosa, maybe I'm empty stomach, let me eat. So even then the pain is not going away. So morning around 5:30, 6 o'clock, I call my physician, tell him I have this problem. So, but it's just a gas problem, it looks like. So what time will you open? He said, I'll open at 9 o'clock. So then I went at 9 o'clock. He looked at, examined me and said, you look like you have a borderline heart problem. He did ECG. And you have to go to a cardiologist. So I went to, and he asked me, where would you want to go? I did not know Devi Shetty. So I said, I'll go to Narana Hudayalaya. On the way, you take this pill and go. Halfway through, I went through towards Electronic City. Pain is all gone. I said, I have no problem, Asha, I'm going to office.
Oh, man.
Oh no.
So then Asha said, no, anyhow you have taken appointment, go and meet the doctor and get examined, and it's an outpatient procedure, you come back. So I went there. I'm glad I listened to her. Then after they looked at it, they said, we can't find any blockage now. They did examine, there is no blockage so far. But we have to admit you. I blasted the cardiologist. Why are you admitting me? I'm going to office now. He said, I am the doctor, you are not the doctor. I'm glad I listened to him also. They kept me for 2 days of observation. And then they found I had a blockage and they put a stent. That stent is still there. 20 years later also it is working. So then I asked Devi Shetty, after 4 days they discharged me. And they came home, asked Devi Shetty, what happens to those people who don't even know they have a problem, like me? And if they are in remote places, by the time they reach, they are gone. So what do you think we should do? Devi Shetty is a smart doctor, he is very smart. So then he said, they all have to come to hospital. I said, they don't know they have a problem. So the hospital should go to them. So then we designed a bus with all the diagnostic facility, and that bus would go to rural areas and examine. Then where should we start this bus? So then I told it should not be in Bangalore. It should not start in Bangalore. It should start in a rural area. I was born in Sagar, Shivamogga district, and then Devi Shetty said, well, let us go to Sringeri and start from there. So we asked Jagadguru to come and inaugurate. He inaugurated. And then he said at the end of that, finally, so I thought you are leaving a hospital here, you are taking away everything. It is a bus, everything is gone. So then we looked at it, myself, Devi Shetty and my father-in-law. So what do we do here? Then we started a nursing school in Sringeri and gave money for that. So now that was the bus that was given because there was no mobile and all of that at that time. So then we found out that Mata Anandamayi University in Coimbatore had one of the vice chancellors, who was a technocrat, had come and joined, and he wanted to build a mobile diagnostic van in which satellite connection can be done. In 2005, satellite connection through ISRO was done, and that was launched. Subsequent to that, we sponsored that. So, reason I am saying this is we need to innovate, based on the technology evolution, problems which are there, geographically where we are, in different areas, whether it is education or whether it is in healthcare or whether it is in livelihood, everywhere, technology has come as a boon to countries like India. We need to utilize that very effectively to bring the scale and reliability as well as bring down the cost of how to serve people. So that is where Ashray Hasta's mission is to find solutions through people, process, technology, and a strategy that we need to adopt to see whether the solutions can be scaled to reach multiple geographies, multiple issues that are coming up. So that is about one part of the story. Our work is addressing gender inequity, menstrual health and hygiene, engaging with adolescent girls and youth, focuses on using community-centric system engagement approach through KHPT. KHPT is Karnataka Health Promotion Trust. In this program, we support workable and scalable interventions that state governments have already readily endorsed, adopted, and are in the process of replicating in other regions. So we try to identify areas where there is a good amount of scalability that is likely to happen, or bring that scalability in whatever we are thinking. We also understand the significance of energy, food and water security, and have supported programs like solar technology with income generation, set up microgrids for rural energy access, supported water body rejuvenation programs, provided seed funds to women entrepreneurs, and built comprehensive livelihood interventions.
Very good, Dinesh.
And we, of course, aspire to transform the learning and education landscape, making quality education available to everybody, and hence support technology-linked virtual teaching efforts in schools, in other words, digital schools. This is also part of our... But one example I'm very proud of quoting this, is there is a small place called Basarikatte, near Chikmagalur, in Chikmagalur district. It's a small village, or Hobli. So one time they wanted some money. This was about, I would say about 20 years back, I would say. So I said, why should I come from Bangalore and give you money? Why don't you find, this is in the thick coffee plantation area, why don't you find there itself? Sir, there not many will like to support this, but we want to do something more in the education. So we are short of funds, so we need to build something. I said, what is your results? How much percentage are you getting? Coming from the business world, no? So results, tell me the results. Sir, 67% we have passed out. SSLC, public exam. I said, why can't it be 100?
Talking to the wrong person.
Quality.
So then they said, sir, not possible. Why not possible? Sir, we are the highest, at that time we were the highest in Chikmagalur district. We are already one of the best. So in other words, why should we improve?
Should we do more?
Right? I said, what happens to that 37% who have not, 33% who have failed? His dream is gone. So should you not enable that? So no sir, not possible. I said, okay, I'll give you some money now, but don't ask me to come again. Don't ask me to come again till you reach 100%. They literally took that as a challenge. I'm telling you. And after 3 or 4 years, they came and said, "Sir, please come." I said, "What is the percentage?" 100%.
Oh my goodness.
Lovely.
Again, my quality, root cause.
How much did you score in maths?
Why? No. So then, why? How did you score this? What happened? Sir, we analyzed the 3 subjects in which the students are failing were English, science, and mathematics. So we made sure that instead of starting high school only, that it had only high school, we start from middle school. So we take charge of the children 3 years ahead, so we prepare them. That's not the end of the story. Another few years later, they came and said, "Sir, now we have 70% distinction."
Nice.
Even today, they are getting that kind of. So the thing that I want to emphasize here is, for trusts like Ashrayahasta and leaders, in the society, the aspiration, we have to raise the aspirations of people. If we can raise, they will find solutions. You don't need to do anything. Some money they may need, but they need motivation. They need a path to say that it is possible. So that is also part of, the way Infosys, Narayana, our Ashrayahasta does some of these things. Now, I'm also very proud that we stay invested in long-term support of cleft and palate surgeries for children from marginalized communities by connecting the stakeholders with aptly equipped hospitals and surgeons, supporting equipment costs, surgery costs of the stakeholders. We aspire to bring more ideas, access to treatment and innovation in this space, including early identification and intervention of children in the need of cleft and palate surgery. Divya herself was born with a very small cleft lip, which you won't notice at all now. But having gone through that, we thought early intervention is the best way to ensure the children lead their full life, that they can bloom in whatever capacity they want to. And in our effort to provide safe and good quality surgical and medical facilities for wild and domestic animals is quite out of the box.
That's Diksha's, Divya.
Divya and Diksha, both of them are
Medical
animals.
intervention for wild animals.
Animals, yeah.
Wow.
I think India, nobody else does. DSP,
Very few.
Hemendra Kothari.
Hemendra Kothari does.
They do it, yeah.
But he's not talking about surgeries. He's largely
Conservation, yeah. Oh, surgeries, then. Oh, that's interesting. Nope.
That's rare. That's very rare.
So we invest on issues that are close to the heart and forward facing. We work towards building futuristic ideas and innovations in the health, education, livelihood, and animal welfare space. We try to innovate in each one of these areas and try to be ecosystem-centric approach, working with government and allied systems, building solutions for future is core to our mandate. That's very important for us. So, I have given you some of the examples, but we also set up a cancer center in Narayana Hridayalaya, Mysore.
Was it the same project you mentioned earlier?
That was the clinic.
Oh, okay.
This is the cancer center.
Okay. Why cancer a important part for you? Why is it important for you?
What is happening is early diagnosis of cancer, could actually, there are a lot of possibilities of being able to cure it.
But what motivated you to take that course?
So one is, cancer is mainly metro-centered today. Bangalore, big metros. That is where hopefully people will find solutions. So when this needs to go to next level cities and make sure that it is available through latest diagnostic facilities and cure facilities, all of that, that is very important for us to support. Narayana Hridayalaya was thinking of doing that. They had set up one, they have a good center, Kiran Majumdar's Cancer Center, that had to go to Mysore. At that time, Devi Shetty approached us. And when we looked at our own father-in-law, the founder of Ashrayahasta, Unfortunately, he was not diagnosed in Narayana Hrudayalaya. He was diagnosed somewhere else. He had really TB, but it was wrongly diagnosed as, cancer.
Oh man.
What are you? Oh,
Yeah, so he died out of TB, but we said right diagnosis of cancer is equally important for us to address this issue. So particularly in remote areas. Otherwise, they have to come all the way to Bangalore. From Mysore, they have to come all the way to Bangalore. So there are a lot of costs and hesitancy to move, come and do all of that. So we said, we'll do it in Mysore. So over the last 5 years, we have transformed ourselves. We are trying to transform. We have grown in aspiration, in our structure, team, grand sizing and numbers, with a grand making presence in 26 states across the country. So we are a all India trust, though we are based in Bangalore. And we focus on both thematic areas, grand engagement models, knowing that how we fund and how much fund we are important, how we fund important decisions for future impact and sustainability.
How do you go to 26 cities? It's like
We travel.
Northeast, for instance, right?
Yeah, so we travel and we build rapport with NGOs.
Wow.
People travel. Some of my people will travel.
such good intent.
That's one of the things that you are solving, right? I mean, if you look at generally the philanthropy, right, it's restricted to either the hometown of where the philanthropist is, or maximum where the factory is.
Factory
It doesn't go beyond that. I mean, you go to 26 states.
That's
I mean,
massive.
that is massive. That's a
What Asha keeps telling the team? I want to see all the states marked on a map she has. Where we have gone, I am going to watch that and see that we are a all India organization. Because the way we have come about, India is about these different states.
Okay, can I ask you a question, right? Which state in India you think require more attention from a philanthropy standpoint? I mean, you've seen all the states, right? I'm sure certain states, if you look at the wealth creation as a parameter.
Northeast definitely.
Yeah, but I mean,
And then Bihar, Jharkhand, some of these states are really, even including Orissa, it's public knowledge, I don't have to give you any numbers.
Yeah.
It's all there.
Very, very there.
Northeast you think requires a lot more attention from philanthropy.
Northeast also requires. Particularly, the first one is education and then healthcare. These are the two areas, and gender inequity is another area. Some of these states are really lagging behind. It's public knowledge. I don't have to give you any numbers. It's all there. So we have to build solutions for the future, which now can't be done by one single Ashrayahasta. It has to be a collaborative effort, synergistic effort. Governments are doing. So we are only one part of that story.
Understand, yeah.
So we believe that our sense of purpose that we have is guided by our people, process, technology and strategy. And once George Bernard Shaw was asked a question, if there is men, material and money, this was in industrial age, he was asked a question, if there is men, material and money, which one of them is important? Knowing the wise man he was, his counter question was, if there is a three-legged stool, which leg is important?
True.
So coming from my background of Infosys, heading quality, quality is about people, process, technology and a strategy and a structure with a purpose. So that is what drives what we need to do. So in terms of thematic and sub-thematic areas that we have, several projects we have been doing, just to highlight some of them, I don't want to take up too much of your time. In health domain, Ashrayahasta Trust is one of the philanthropies to focus on mental health intervention.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
These are all golden words for Nagma.
Yeah.
Nagma wants everybody to focus on mental health and gender.
Gender
Two
and
things.
disability also. I mean,
Yeah.
school or institution-based, community-based approach we are trying to do. Mental health care, Naman is the name of the program we have launched. It's about to be commissioned, and none other than by NIMANS, Comprehensive Rural Mental Health Initiative, in partnership with NIMANS. Knowing that we have a very rural focus, Belur Taluk in Karnataka and Munsiari Taluk in Uttarakhand are the two talukas where this will be initially implemented for first 2-3 years before they standardize the process systems, all of that, then replicate that in multiple taluks by whoever. CSR programs can do, we can do some of them. Idea is to show that this is possible to do through none other than NIMANS taking the lead. Our value addition is bringing the money that is required and little bit of motivation. Okay. So this is one, I am very proud of that. This is going to happen in the
It's
next
going to be
When
launched.
is it yeah.
very soon. NIMANS is working out a plan, and the commitment has already been done by us. Yeah. And work in mental health and gender violence space is another area where we are working on. There is a program called Parihar, run by the Commissioner of Police in Bangalore, Counseling Center for Survivors of Violence. Women and Children is a helpline and support mechanism for women going through domestic and gendered violence and trauma-affected children in Bangalore. Issue the helpline addresses are abuse, harassment, violence, marital discord, dowry, physical abuse, substance abuse, and more. Pariyar Center aims to provide timely counseling, rescue from distress situations, medical aid, legal services, rehabilitation support for survivors of violence. Right now it is more centered on the city, and our hope is it will move towards a rural-centric thing also as it matures. Mukta is another program we have launched, strengthening the healthcare response to address violence against women. Mukta focuses on deepening healthcare sector's response to the violence against women in Karnataka by addressing the critical care and counseling needs of survivors of violence and by training healthcare practitioners. We have partnered with National Health Mission to implement 5 major government hospitals in Bangalore and Chikballapur, near Bangalore. In this program, we support training healthcare providers, counselors, implementing SOPs for VAW response, medico-legal care protocols, aiming to prevent and stop violence against women. And another program of AHT I am very proud of is Manobhal, Comprehensive Adolescent Mental Health Program. With the understanding that there is gap in the continuity of mental health support interventions in schools, we designed a comprehensive program to enhance the mental health and well-being of adolescents in government schools. Program is about fostering emotional resilience, mental health, and life skills among adolescents, and this will be piloted in 20 to 30 schools in Bangalore before it is rolled out to many different areas. AHT will develop a self-help book for children in schools and build a robust emotional support mechanism for children to help them address their mental health and well-being, focusing on SEL. SEL stands for Socio-Emotional
Learning.
in schools. Trying to innovate in few areas. Some of these I am learning,
It's beautiful. It's a very thoughtful.
Other one, I am very proud through KHPT we are doing. KHPT stands for Karnataka Health Promotion Trust Program. Adolescent Empowerment and Menstrual Health and Hygiene. Drawing upon the integrated empowerment approach with Ashrayastra Trust support, KHPT developed a peer-led social transformative model called Spurti. It's very innovative, I am telling you. Role model girls, Spurti role model girls empowerment program.
One philosophical question, right? I think you've been doing philanthropy in many ways different lives of your stages of your life, right? When you had little wealth to big wealth. In every stage, you've been very actively in philanthropy. In many ways, I've heard my parents say that since childhood, if you give, you gain more. But have you experienced that in the sense that of this belief that when you give more give back, you'll be blessed, and you normally get more. It's more of a
No, there is no expectation as
Yeah.
far as I am concerned.
Yeah, but
we
is
have
that-
to
is
do
that-
as a duty we have to do.
correct.
That is how we
No
see it.
expectation, but have you seen that as a not expecting it, but as a cause and effect? If you some
I've
people
not looked at it from that point of view at all,
Okay.
to be honest with you.
Okay.
Do what you have to do as a duty and leave the rest to the.
Because the problem with the new wealth creators or even new professionals who are creating wealth is that, oh my God, I'm going to give away the money now, and I need to save up for my future. What happens if I give away money? So, is there any kind of formula or a percentage or an age when you really start philanthropy at a young?
No, this is where, Winston Churchill, what he said makes a lot of sense. I repeat that if I have said earlier also.
Please. Okay.
We make a living by what we get,
Yeah.
but we make a life by what we give. It's the way we want to live. A life we want to live is important. And God has been great to us, and towards that, part of it only you are able to give it back to the society. There is no greater pressure than giving it. So it's a way of life. That is how my mother, I gave the example. She was enjoying so much when she was saying that my family consists of all these people, not just these four corners. That. And other thing also I want to say, related to this, is also what Francis Bacon said. Very pertinent to what you said. Charity begins at home, but should not end there.
True.
Should not end there.
Which takes us to the point that you had mentioned earlier when we were chatting, that why move out from Karnataka or South India to the rest of the country? You're in 26 states, and usually people don't do that. Either they are giving back to hometown or they are set up close to place of work.
No, it is really, all of them have, in my opinion, all of them have big heart.
Yes.
All of them have big heart. To go beyond the family and do itself is a great thing.
True.
To know these boundaries and all of that are, mentally constructed models. Or some kind of a discomfort they have going outside in terms of taking risks. Once they overcome that, they will also experience the same thing, that there is no difference between what you do here or elsewhere. The people are the same everywhere. Animals are the same everywhere. They all have life. Same life, no different.
Okay. Is philanthropy and wealth creation, are they catching up at same pace?
No, it is definitely moving ahead, definitely. Particularly, when you look at India is one of the few countries where CSR has been implemented, of course through law. But even before that, companies like Infosys, we had done voluntarily a lot of these things. So there will be always hope for it to pick up as India adds wealth. There will be more generous people. The younger generation will be a lot more generous than the earlier generations. So I'm sure the key is, it is the responsibility of not just the giver, but people who take the responsibility of making sure it reaches the right people, to go back and tell them how it has reached effectively and where it has not reached. If we are very quick and transparent in that process, many more will come forward. So that is where the trust has to be built both ways. So that is where things will, it is like ATM. Would you go to ATM 15 years back and withdraw your money? You are not sure. Now, today, people will laugh at you if you don't go to ATM or you don't use UPI, right?
Correct.
Someday will come when philanthropy will also be like that.
Amen to that.
Sorry?
I said amen to that.
It will happen. It will happen. It has to happen. You know,
What would be your 3 advice to young individuals who want to get into philanthropy?
start doing it areas in which your heart says you want to do. Don't listen to your mind. You know, mind is very logical, like me. You know?
Quality control.
Yeah, like no, but as you start going through, you will find a good balance between mind and heart, and you will find that good balance, and you will be able to find areas in which you want to help. Because there is, you know, as Francis Bacon said, charity begins, you know, at home, but should not end there. It should go beyond that. So that is where the solution is people like you carrying this message. Philanthropy is a good cause and it is worthy cause, and there are people who need this and there are people who can easily do it. So that is where we have to strike a balance between these two.
Beautiful.
Great. I think, thank you very much. We took a lot of time of yours. It's such a fun interaction and also quite inspiring in many ways. Even someone, a small entrepreneur like me, it makes me think that I'm not doing enough, you know, even at this stage of my career or life or whatever it is, right? So, it's been a pleasure talking to you, Mr. Dinesh. I think, Nagma, would you like to?
No, I mean, I'm very, very inspired, and not simply because you're giving, but because it's so value based, it's so beautifully entrenched in some basic good human values. And I was thinking again, because again, trust, lack of boundaries, investing in causes that are much beyond this generation for communities. I was thinking again that what we would do to be flies on the walls of the Infosys room. Just the value system is so strong, and I hope everybody who listens to this takes that back with them too. So thank you so much for this.
So before I close, thank you very much. You know, this is some people say it is a quote from Mandela, but some people say it is a thing from Marianne Williamson. It's very relevant to what we are discussing. If you permit me.
Sure.
Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. It is our light, not darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shining so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are born to manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us. We let our own light shine. We unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. It's very inspiring to me.
It is.
You know, and this quote, I used to give in my speeches in Infosys to my fellow Infosians sometimes. One fine day, I go to airport at that time, flying out of Bangalore. I go to the airport, pick up a book. And I open first page. First page means I open randomly some page. And this is the quote I see in that. So coincidentally, so I am quoting to you. This is what Mandela, it seems, in his first speech after he was given the Nobel Peace Prize. He spoke about this. This quote is what people say. There is also something about Marianne Williamson. In her book, she has written this. We don't know who is the real author. Very powerful quote. Great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your blessings. Thank you.